The Republican Party, including its leader, Donald Trump, is adopting a new strategy for voter turnout in the 2024 elections. Mail-in voting. Groundbreaking, I know. And especially amusing, given how Trump vilified early and absentee voting before and after the 2020 election. Trump and his allies tried to convince voters without evidence that mail-in voting was rife with fraud. Long before his outright attempts to overturn the 2020 election, Trump's disinformation campaign against mail-in voting planted a seed of doubt in the minds of many Americans, mostly Republicans.
When you do all mail-in voting ballots, you're asking for fraud. People steal them out of mailboxes. People print them, and then they sign them, and they give them in. And the people don't even know where they're double counted. People take them away. They force people to vote. They harvest. You know what harvesting is? They take many, many ballots, and they put them all together, and then they just dump them, and nobody has any idea whether they're crooked or not.
That was May of 2020. He had no evidence to back up any of that nonsense. Now that the twice impeached and twice indicted ex-president is running again, he seems to have had a change of heart. Last week, the Republican National Committee tweeted this video of Trump encouraging Republicans to vote early.
Go to bankyourvote.com to sign up and commit to voting early. Bankyourvote.com. We must defeat the far left at their own game, or our country will never recover from this disastrous, crooked Biden administration.
Not quite a sham wow commercial, but it's quite the 180. According to records obtained by the Washington Post, quote, after disappointing election results in 2020 and 2022, Republicans close to Trump are seeking to raise hundreds of millions of dollars to build programs that would encourage some of the practices that the former president and other Republicans once decried. The Republican crusade against voting rights after the 2020 election can only be characterized as death by a thousand cuts. Their efforts to discredit mail-in voting and stoke fear about unsubstantiated voter fraud has had serious consequences. Many states, particularly red states, reacted by imposing restrictions that have made voting more difficult. Election Law Journal found that within 1 year of the 2020 election, 19 states passed at least 33 new laws that made voting more difficult. Those laws include restrictions on same-day voter registration, requiring a Social Security number, and mandating additional documentation to register to vote beyond what is already federally required. Florida imposed a long list of new constraints on mail-in voting, severely restricting access to ballot drop boxes. This new law was enacted after an election where black voters in the state voted by mail at a higher rate than in recent years. Iowa's law shortens the early voting period and bans county election officials from sending out absentee ballot request forms unless specifically requested. In Texas, its restrictive voting legislation threatens to criminally target election workers for expanding voter access or for simply encouraging eligible voters to request mail-in ballots. Georgia made it a crime to hand out food and water to people waiting in line to vote. These are just a handful of the legislative attacks on voting rights following the 2020 election. If you look at any one of these provisions on its own, it's hard to truly understand the domino effect they've had on voting rights in America. But when you consider all of them together, as I said, death by a thousand cuts. Voting should literally be the easiest thing you can do in a democracy as an American citizen. The time and effort it costs you to cast a ballot should be as little as possible. Rather than turning people away from the ballot box, our lawmakers should be doing everything in their power to bring voters to the polls in droves. When my father became the first South Asian and the first Muslim in Canada to hold major public office in 1987, we not only drove people to the polls, we fed them before and even after if they wanted. To this day, when I vote in the United States, I wear that little sticker bragging that I did for days to show that I've done my civic duty and to encourage others to do theirs. Because when every eligible voter can and does carry out their civic duty, our democracy is better for it. We are all better for it. It seems the Republicans have figured that out a little too late. Donald Trump and the GOP lost the 2020 election and tried to use mail-in voting as a scapegoat. Then it backfired on them during the 2022 midterms. Now, with the White House on the line in 2024, Republicans are attempting to resuscitate something that they actively destroyed and use it to their advantage. Good luck with that.